welcome to episode 29.
29, yes. We're behind the MasterMinds.
I'm glad Brian came back in time.
Hey, Brian. You just popped out of nowhere.
Awesome.
Surprise!
Yeah.
It's magic, you know.
Ditched my meeting.
Nice.
That's right. We're going to get into a little bit of that.
So today we have our special guests, Kellian and Brian from Green Door Labs.
Mm-hmm.
Before we introduce them, let's do a raffle for DarkPark.
Raffle, oh, this is a big one. You're getting all 3 games from DarkPark, which is Witchery Spell, Conspiracy 19, and Dare Santa. Let's go. Drum roll, please. Who is it? This is a big one. It's a big one. It is Mark Verhagen? Mark Verhagen. Congratulations. We'll reach out to us, and this way we can figure out how to get it to you.
Yeah.
All right. Without further ado, let's get into this with Green Door Labs. A little background. So Green Door Labs is an interaction design company that started in 2012. They work largely with museums and cultural institutions, but at least once a year they create an independent game. Their partnered games include Murder at the Met with the Metropolitan Museum of Art, The Mystery of the Megatherium Club with the Smithsonian Castle, and Escape the Museum, The Curse of the Hemispheres at the Harvard Semitic Museum. Independently, they've built games like Save the Munbacks, the ASPMC, which is the American Society for the Protection of Magical Creatures, and 5 different chapters of Club Drosselmeyer.
Well, okay, I'm glad he did that.
that was a
hand.
mouthful.
I lived to make things difficult for you to say. That was just the whole purpose of that. Like we didn't even make those games. We were just like, what are the hardest words?
That's great. Well, without further ado, here are the producers and creative director of Green Door Labs, Kellian. And I mean, before I thought Brian wasn't going to join in time, but
now that we have him,
I can't husband Brian.
I can't be husband Brian.
We had to put that in there.
Yeah, Brian serves on some of the Green Doors projects as Puzzlemaster, co-producer, and technical director.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And they also have generously offered a 15% discount code on all their ASPMC games. Mm-hmm. And the discount code is RoomScapers, and it's valid until February 1st, 2021.
Yeah, so you have a lot of time to try those out, and you should. Because those art looks pretty amazing. And we didn't have time to play yet, but we'll definitely get into talking a little bit about that. So
you guys ready for our questions so we can get to know you and our viewers can get to know you better?
And then we can go get drinks.
Absolutely. Wait, what?
Get to our drinking segment. All right, go ahead.
Well, Cece's going to start it off.
Okay, so Kelly, give us a little background about you, because I didn't realize that Brian was going to join, so we kind of wrote the script more like you were going to talk half of the chat, and then we were going to have Brian join to talk about the other half. But tell us, how did you get into design puzzles? Now you can tell us both how you guys, got into designing puzzles, and how did you build a relationship with all these prestigious institutions, starting with designing with specific puzzles for them, or how did you do that?
So I am a game designer, producer, general cat herder. I used to be a teacher long ago and far away, and so I tend to work with different education departments for these different museums, and pretty much everything I design always has some sort of education bent to it, in terms of user experience and like user goals and stuff like that. So right after I got out of grad school, first of all, I worked in a game design company in Shanghai for about 5 years.
Oh, wow.
So that was
Chinese.
I do actually 可以，
你可以说中文。
对啊，就是一点点。
So Brian, how you doing?
能说的还不中文。But So I was there for about 5 years, and I worked on a children's game there to actually teach Westerners how to speak Chinese. So that was my first game, and then came back to the U.S., got my master's degree in education, and ended up with another game company called Scavenger, and that was a location-based gaming company back in 2011. It was like the heady days of Looped and Goala, and everybody was like really into these location-based games. So I had so much fun with them. So I headed up their sort of museums and cultural department, and basically they funded me to reach out to every museum across the country and try and make games with them. which was amazing because this was, somewhere around like, I don't know, 2010, 2011. And so this was relatively new for museums, but luckily I was funded by this startup to sort of broach the idea of games and interaction with these different museums. And now it's not a crazy idea at all, right?
Yeah.
10 years ago it was like, what? You want to make a game at a museum? And now it's like, oh, what can we make? So,
right. Well, you have plenty of space to do something with. I mean, usually museums, there's a lot that you can do with what they're given.
What's so exciting about it, right? It's like you've got these incredible existing spaces and you've got all these wonderful stories. And I would say over the last maybe 2-3 years, there's a bunch of museums who've let me actually build escape rooms inside the museum, which I have really loved. Oh my God, it's been so much fun.
Did you do any nighttime ones? When like after they close?
Yeah, actually most of them are. Most of them
wow.
Yeah, they tend to because these events, they work better as events typically than they do during the day when people are sort of there and in the museum. And it's fun to be in a museum after hours, and so they'll schedule like a bunch of people to go to the museum for the game, and it's a good setup. There's even a museum that started that's built their own escape room recently. Last year.
Museum of Intrigue?
No,
No.
Museum of Intrigue is not an actual museum.
Yeah, no.
I thought they were just changing the whole thing to be just a huge.
There is one in Connecticut. It's a museum of like keys or something. So that's probably the one you're talking about.
That's the one. Oh my God, what an escape room that is. So good. Oh, the content is so good, and the puzzles are so. I loved it.
Right.
I want to also just bring Brian because he's here now. How did you guys meet? Was this one of those like puzzly love thing that happened?
No.
Actually, we met swing dancing. We're both swing dancers. Kellian had just come back from China to go to grad school, and I had just moved up here from Connecticut to go to business school. So we were both dancing in the swing dance scene, and we met there.
That's fun. So, would you ever puzzle design by nature, or you was more like pulled in by it?
I was into puzzles, I think, before Kellian. I was doing most of the mechanical puzzles. So, like things that you have to manipulate physically to solve a goal, like the Hanayama puzzles and puzzle boxes and things like that. I have a pretty large collection of those. And we've gotten into other types of puzzles as well. Since the start of escape rooms and things like that, we've been doing a lot of that. And
we'd always build
a mystery hunt. We would build like scavenger hunts for each other and things like that.
Yeah, every birthday we would always have to build scavenger hunts for each other.
Oh, that's so fun!
Right.
I definitely get your gifts easy. You gotta
earn your gift.
Strict no gifting policy.
Oh yeah, we
in
don't
this
do
household.
gifts. Just the.
I am really bad at buying gifts. I'm so bad at it.
Yeah.
I love how you incorporated like the swing dance like culture or the vibe into the Drosselmeyer world. It feels like you're there and you want to get on the dance floor. Yeah. Really cool.
But then I also see the mechanical parts of it also from his design.
Oh my God.
The physical parts of the puzzles for sure. Oh, we got some questions.
So I'm not sure if this is related to your Shanghai career, but they were asking, is it video or board games? Because I believe it was around the same time you posted this from Escape Room Escapades. Were they video or board games?
Like if I was designing video or board games, it was a video game. It was an educational video game back in Shanghai.
Oh, okay. And then Orsi wants to know if is it hard to convince museums to collaborate on such games?
No. I mean, I'm a bad person to ask, right? Because is it hard for me to do it? Not as much anymore. Like 10 years ago, it was really hard. The museums world, they are all sort of overworked and underpaid. And I think there's this impression that there's money in museums, which there's not. If there's any money in museums, it's tied up in their collections, and it is certainly not going to their educators. So like everybody is like way overqualified for the work that they're doing. And so when you show up, like I've seen so many people from like the startup world and their game world, and they're like, yeah, we're going to get 1 million people to play a game. And the museum people are like, because it's a liability for them, right? It's like, they don't want 1 million people running through their museum. They want good quality interaction with, a smaller number of people, but higher engagement. So when you work with them, you really have to sort of gain their trust and let them know that you understand that and that you're on their side and that you're not going to try and make their museum into an amusement park, that you believe in education and you believe in learning goals. And then once they've seen your work and they're like, oh, okay, they're not going to break stuff. You know?
Yeah. I think all it takes is one successful one, and then you can kind of like, use that as an example and set that as a precedent moving forward.
Exactly.
So our second question for you is, out of all these mentioned events, what was the most memorable one for you guys, and why?
Oh, what do you think? First Dross?
Yeah.
Mundbacks?
Save the Mundbacks was really cool.
Oh, Save the Mundbacks was epic.
It was in a big mansion, the Eustace Estate, and we had it all decked out.
Yeah.
And it looked really pretty. It had.
Where is this?
Save the Munback.
No,
where was
mansion?
this location? The mansion?
Oh, this was at Milton, Massachusetts. So it's maybe like an hour drive outside of out of Boston. And it's this it's this epic mansion. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, we filled it with the art of Hilary Scott, who has all sorts of cool monsters and things like that he builds. The world was really cool.
Creatures,
And of course, Club Drosselmeyer.
Right.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
How long ago was Save the Munbacks? Like around what?
2018?
Yeah.
That was from 2 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, so that was but it was such a beautiful design, but it was too far out of Boston, and so we really kind of took a bath on it. But it was so beautiful, and so it's the most gorgeous game that we'll never have again.
Yeah, the people who could make it through the traffic to get there enjoyed it, but it was hard getting people to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
The location thing for sure. Well, that's why you have a virtual event this time, so you can play at home.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that they were saving the numbats, which this was actually the Munbacks, but the numbats are, another well-known magical creature from the magical creature. Quite the bestiary that we have there.
Yeah, nice. So I have a question. Does designing of these type of institutions have any limits in terms of the content, and does that restrict your creativity?
In terms of designing for institutions, I think it's more fun to build with these kinds of restrictions than it is to build with sort of a blue sky. When I go into something and it's like, what can you build? Anything. And it's like, oh, well, that's no challenge, right?
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Because you're working around the situation that you have, or making use of what you have.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I find that so much more interesting. And also, I find that the history and the actual artifacts are just way more fascinating than anything that I could ever come up with. I mean, the crazy stories that I get to work with. For the Mystery of the Megatherium Club, that's an escape room we built with the Smithsonian Castle. And as it turned out, they actually had all of these scientists that lived in the Smithsonian Castle during the late 1800s, and they were just sort of these crazy young explorers, and they would have carousing parties and sack races down the halls, and they would sing to the daughters of the director of the Smithsonian, and they called themselves the Megatherium Club. I didn't make that up.
I thought we would be reading books all day, but it sounds like they're a party bunch.
No, it was like the boy band of 1865, Fantastic. As we were building this, they had there was Kennicott and Stimpson and all these different explorers from the 1860s, and all the women that are working on this project with me that are all working at the Smithsonian, they're all oh, I like Kennicott.
It's like the BTS of back then.
It totally was. Yeah, they all have these really defined personalities. There's the explorer and the artist and the scientist, and it's really fun. And it's a true story. We didn't have to invent anything.
It's great. Brian's probably gonna have to remind you and be like, "No, I'm the eye candy." Remember that?
He's the Kennicott. It's true.
Yeah.
The original.
Right.
Our next question. Well, Brian is here, and we were going to save the Drosselmeyer questions.
We'll still do that because anyway we're not.
But so just since we're talking about ASPMC, can you tell us more about that? What? It's such an interesting name, by the way, and it really reminds us of Harry Potter and the Fantastic Beasts, and in that world and where to find them, that type of vibe. We didn't get to play it, unfortunately, but looking at some of the artwork, it's just amazing. The artwork that you posted, and where did the inspiration come from for ASPMC?
Oh gosh, so the American Society for the Protection of Magical Creatures, it's funny, I was trying to remember where it came from, and it was actually from about 8 years ago when I was building a game for teaching Chinese. And I sort of wrote this crazy story about Professor, oh, now I'm going to forget his name. It was a hilarious name. Some professor from the University of Michigan who was also the head of the Society for the Protection of Magical Creatures. And he gets a call, a mysterious call in the middle of the night from a dragon, and he has to fly to China and investigate. And so over the course of the last 10 years, I've sort of written different variations on, this idea of a magical creatures society. And then, of course, Fantastic Beasts came out, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then I started working with my friend Lizzie Stark, and I sort of had this idea that I wanted to build something involving sort of a mock nonprofit from the turn of the century, because here in Boston, that's sort of the base of a lot of our museums is in the 1860s, two ladies with a lot of money got together. They decided they were gonna have a cause. And that's actually, so we modeled it off of the Massachusetts Audubon Society. And there were these two wonderful women, Henrietta Hemingway and Mina Hall, were these two incredible women from the late 1800s who decided that they were going to end the use of bird feathers in hats, because they would have these massive hats with these huge bird feathers, and they were going through something like 300,000 pounds of bird feathers.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
A day in the United States, and it was just wiping out all the native species of birds in the US. And so they would bring women to their houses, and they would have these tea parties, because they're these A-lister Boston ladies, and they would bring everybody to their houses and be like, tea party ladies, and they would make them relinquish their hats.
Instead of the Boston Tea Party where you relinquish the
hat. Yeah,
oh my god, that's funny.
That's so cool.
So we sort of built this story about creature conservation based on those women.
Sounds like it has potential for it to be a film.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm almost surprised it's not. Right? It's a great story.
Yeah, definitely has a potential for a multi sequel type of thing.
So I mean, did those two chapters connect with each other? Because we didn't play as, I'm not sure, are they?
No, those two chapters never really did. So the first one, we called it was just China stories, and then the second one was Save the Munbats. No, they were unrelated. And then when the pandemic hit, it was this thing where a lot of my friends are freelancers and artists and game designers, and everybody was just instantly out of work. And this was before there was any sort of federal funding or state funding or unemployment. And as freelancers, everybody was like, how are we going to pay our rent? And I was like, okay, let's build a game fast. Let's go. So we did a Kickstarter, and the idea was to just hire as many of my friends as I could to build a game. And we did, and we ended up getting enough funding that I could hire 12 people. Yeah. So it was just kind of okay, what can I build to employ as many people as I know? And so a friend of mine, who was one of the writers, Sharang Biswas, he was like, oh, what if we put it in a wizarding world? And I was like, that's brilliant. I was like, can I use my existing wizarding world? Because I know a lot about it, and it's just sort of easier for me to navigate. He's like, no problem. It is the American Society for the Protection of Magical Creatures. So that's how we ended up with the ASPMC games. And, we're still building them. We've already got, 2 of them, and a third one will be released in January. And yeah, it's just a fun.
That's so cool.
That's so cool that you have your already existing wizarding worlds. I don't think everybody has that.
Yeah, right.
Okay, self-wizarding worlds.
Yeah.
Wizarding world, check.
Nice. So if someone wanted to give this game a try, or both of them, what can they expect from the game? I know it's a digital one. You purchase it, you download it, you play right away. Is there any print and cut needed for the game? And how long is the gameplay? Is it for beginners or more experienced players?
Sure. For ASPMC stuff, so there are 2 games. One, the puzzles were designed by Errol Lumiere. And his puzzles are, I would say they're a little bit more sort of, escape room accessible. And so the hinting is really good on them, and it's not difficult for a family to make it through. They're challenging puzzles, but not MIT Puzzle Hunt types of crunchers,
Yeah.
Okay. Not a whole 24 hour game.
24 hours, yeah. It's not like a backfull kind of puzzle hunt. It's, a little bit more you can definitely complete it. All digital, you don't have to download, print anything, or cut anything. The second one was designed by Matthew Stein, and Emma, this is terrible, I can't remember her last name. I'll find it and I'll tell you afterwards. But they're more like MIT puzzle hunt designers. And so this one, like the puzzles are super well crafted, very, very clever, but also really difficult, even when sometimes it's hard to get through them.
Got it. So start with the beginner one first, kind of warm in, and then
I would. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for Club Drosselmeyer is a different story. Club Drosselmeyer is a little bit more accessible for everybody. Like it's really meant to be played with a family. Yeah. And you have to download a bunch of stuff for it, so you got to print everything. As you guys learned, you played it.
Yeah, we played it yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk in more detail in the second part of the interview about that. But before we go into the new creation, the Club Drosselmeyer, which
some
is
lucky winner is gonna have a chance.
Yeah, it's an interactive radio adventure which they created in 1943, which is very interesting. But a winner will be winning a digital version of this if you type in the phrase, "Let me tune in."
Let me tune in is your secret phrase. So type it in the comments below. It's on YouTube or IGTV or Facebook, wherever you see this video posted, and you will automatically enter in the raffle for free to win a copy of the game.
So if you missed the live stream, our video will be posted on YouTube and IGTV after with an edited version, and you can definitely do that with that, and then it will air on December 18th before episode 31st.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Give me one second. You want to continue on this?
So our next question for you is, and obviously all our viewers who are watching, feel free to ask any questions while we have them on our video, so this way we can get to know more about Green Door Labs. All right, so our next question for you is, so Club Drosselmeyer, pre-COVID, is a live event that happens in Massachusetts every December. I think it started in 2016. Is that correct? Okay. Can you tell us what that was like and what the inspiration behind that immersive experience was?
Sure. Do you want to take this one, or you want
No, you go for
keep
it.
chatting? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Monopolizing the conversation here.
We've got the program printing, so I'm going to change our toner while Kelly.
Okay, excellent.
Sure.
We're printing our Drossel boxes as
preparing
toner like nobody's business right now. So so if we're incomprehensible, that's because we're currently inhaling toner. So Dross, again, it comes from our sort of community of swing dancers, and so it was sort of the trifecta of the worlds that we live in, so it was swing dancers combined with vintage people who, shockingly, swing dancers are not always vintage people, and vice versa. I know, right? Crazy. And puzzlers, and people who do escape rooms and crack codes. And so we wanted to create something that was immersive and interactive, but that was able to sort of incorporate this world that we knew so well. And so the first thing we did was we reached out to a good friend who is an arranger and a band leader. Danny Fratina is this incredible musician. I was like, Danny, what do you think? Do you think we could build a nutcracker in swing time? Like all 8/8 tempo, like all something where like you could Lindy hop to it? He was like, oh, hells yeah. So it was about a year before we started designing in 2015. And so sort of my test for it was I had Danny arrange a song and I had his band play it. And then we got a team. He's back.
Good.
So, yeah, then we got a dance team to perform to it during just a swing dancing Christmas thing, and so we had the Sugar Plum song, and we had a big dance routine, and people responded really well to it. We were like, okay, we can do this. People are going to go for it.
Wow, yeah, that's so cool. I mean, it's hard to remember the days before COVID and going to events and socializing in person, but it just brings us back, and it sounds like so much. Well, we heard great things about it even before we met you guys.
Yeah, for sure. The live event, did you usually have like a dinner thing, and then from there everybody needs to talk to people in order to like interact with the puzzles? Is that how it worked, or?
So we wouldn't do dinner. It was in Oberon, which is part of the American Repertory Theater in Cambridge, Harvard Square. So it's just this like really great resource of a black box theater. But they don't do food, but they do drinks. So we with that.
That's all you need.
Exactly. Totally.
Who can swing dance and eat? Like,
Yeah, it's set up like a 1940s nightclub, so you can go in, have a drink, listen to the band, watch the floor shows, or you can dig a little deeper and talk to the different characters and solve puzzles and do different tasks for them. and affect the end of the story. That's kind of how I like to pitch it.
And was most of it just in the theater area, or was there like different rooms that you can go to as well?
All of it was in one space. So we had this big open black box space. So we took over this black box space and had a friend of ours who we're lucky enough, again, like the swing dance community is really like, people do cool stuff in the swing dance community. And so we got dancers, we got actors, and we got writers and musicians. And one of our friends is also the head of design at Tufts. So we were like, hey, you want to build a nightclub? And he's like, sure. So yeah, so he built out this like iconic like Club Drosselmeyer set with all these beautiful reds and golds, and we, hired
he made this awesome like marquee that goes up above the stage. It's got like these big D with lights and those wings sticking out from it. It's very cool.
Yeah.
So from like hearing all this conversation that we have until now, I just realized that you guys have a lot of amazing friends.
People.
The amazing friends.
Oh, yeah.
We got this friend and he's gonna do this, and then another friend who's gonna do that, and then we're gonna have an event.
I mean, honestly, that is the only way we can do anything. Like literally last night we had like 8 people folding things for us while we were all on Zoom, and tonight we're going over to somebody's house to do it all over again. Like
Wow.
for our friends, we would be toast.
Shout out to all the friends and good friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, you have another
Yeah, we do have a
Okay.
question from Escape Room Escapades. What proportion of attendees do you think engaged in the puzzles versus more, there for the show and the dancing portion of it?
Yeah, we collected some data on that. It's very based on the year. So in the first year, I think it was maybe 50-50 or so, but it's been increasing a bit, I think, as we've...
It was 70% last year.
Yeah, as we've gotten
On the
people more
puzzles?
used to doing it. Yeah, puzzles.
Yes, 70% of people that we surveyed last year had touched a puzzle. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they got all the way to the end. The end is pretty hard to reach for Club Drosselmeyer, as you guys figured out. Like, there's a lot of content. I would say, like, at the end of an evening, we maybe only have 5% of players that hit the end.
Yeah, a couple of teams will make it to the end, and we try and build it so that there are satisfying wins along the way, like so you don't just fizzle out.
Yeah. And also you have drinks involved, so
Exactly.
that kind of takes the
good bar.
It could go either way. Some might actually get smarter, and some are just like, you know what, I'm just going to watch.
And some do not. Yeah, but I mean, there's a full band. We've got an 8-piece swing band, and they play all night. The music that you heard on the recording was from our show in 1941. Like, that's the live recording.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's our band being our band. They're incredible.
Yeah, they're really good.
So, so there's some people that show up that don't even realize that there's a puzzle hunt going on.
That's so cool, yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, I know that this event this year is not going to be live, but you're adapted to the online version of it. That still makes it feel like it's very 1940s. And of course, what better way to do that than bringing in a radio? Did you find designing the puzzles harder with this online format versus in person? And what are some of the challenges you faced?
Yeah, that was one of the things that excited me about it, was the idea of trying to build a puzzle that was audio only. So some of them you don't really need any of the printed materials to do. Some of them are a mix of printed materials and audio, which has been kind of fun designing.
Yeah, we're excited about this idea of bringing in objects to our puzzles because we'd never really been able to do that before.
Right.
So you guys did the print and play version, which means that we sort of had paper versions of the objects, but we also have these Drossel boxes. These
There you go.
Drossel boxes that we're sort of working on. You can kind of see it right here. Where we have just like all of these sort of fun things that we're able to create and incorporate in the into the puzzle play. And that part's, I don't know, that part was really fun. We never got to do that before, and we really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think taking advantage of what you can do, like something at home or something more tangible and physical as opposed to the immersive event side, like it's a whole different thing. They're both great, but it's just another option, which I think is cool.
Right. Yeah, it was really different this year. It's so funny because we had 4 years to really perfect Club Drosselmeyer, and now here we are, with a whole new setup all over again, so
Right.
a new learning curve.
Yeah, it's a very different type of game, so it was difficult to figure out how we wanted it to work.
Okay. So let's talk about the audio platform that you created, which we enjoyed very much, by the way, with the added audio components for, from all the various characters. There must have been like 10 in there.
More.
Or more. Yeah, and then each one had their own story to share, and the puzzles to go along with that phone call component. That must have been pretty insane to like have it prompted for the next message only if the answer was correct. Like we have not seen any. Well, I don't think we have seen anything like this yet. And the vibe really brings you back to that time. But how many people did you have on this creative team to pull this off?
So usually on a normal Drosselmeyer, we've got a cast and a crew of close to 30, sometimes 40, depending on how many dancers we have. So this year, we sort of went into it with that same way to approach it, especially because so many people are out of work. So we did a Kickstarter, and we were like, okay, we're gonna do, we're gonna rally the crew, and we're gonna, have a Kickstarter, but it's expensive, So like the overhead to do that would have been about $35,000. That's what we asked for on our Kickstarter. It's a hell of a lot of money. Yeah. And so the Kickstarter failed, and we had to look at it and be like, oh.
But it still did pretty well. We raised $20,000.
Well, yeah. But not enough to, hire our whole
what we
team.
wanted to do to start off with. But it was too cool of an idea just to ditch entirely.
Yeah.
So we sort of scaled it back a little bit. We reduced our team to pretty much just Kellian and I, and then there was a visual designer, Annie Chung, and then we've got somebody helping us out with audio as well.
TH Ponders is doing our audio for us. So we've really got the production team of 2, and then we've got the tech team of 2, and then we've got all of our actors. We've got 11 actors this year.
Oh, okay.
So they are different voices. I thought you mean like you guys were doing all the characters. Like
no, definitely not. No, the nice part about Dross is that we've been doing this for such a long time. So like there's a whole backstory like for all of these characters, and so everybody pretty much was just resuming their regular roles. Like all of these people know their characters really well, and they're like, oh, all right, well, it's Radio Dross this year. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm on the paper. I'll do it.
All right, so basically, from the character's perspective, everybody in there had a different type of storyline, and then you're either able to follow their trail, and then kind of like end in a different ending, depending on which character I guess you choose to assist is what the platform is. Because I don't know. Is that a spoiler if I say like how many endings are there?
No, go for it.
There's like 7 different endings in this game, and depending on how you choose to help which character, you'll be able to pick out which ending you're gonna. We ended up with ending number 5,
right.
But you could have been ended, with ending number 2, 3, or whatever. And then because the replayability level, I mean, yesterday when I was talking to Brian, he said that you can now go back to reset the game so that you can play all the puzzles and then choose to see a different ending if you helped another character.
It's like a Bandersnatch type of thing.
So how long would this be available for then, the digital time frame to play the game? Because it's replayable. Like, would it be like...
So I think we're going to leave it up until spring. I don't necessarily want to leave it up all year because it's a holiday show. So you don't want to be playing Club Drosselmeyer in June.
No.
Yeah. We said we would leave access. People who bought it would have access through the end of 2021.
Yeah.
But
we wouldn't be selling it past probably past January, I think. Yeah, we won't be selling new subscriptions, after the holiday season.
Okay.
Yeah,
so besides the online platform, you've also created this beautiful box that you just showed us to be shipped by mail to go along with the game. If players they chose this versus the digital, we haven't seen the components yet, but we saw some amazing photos that you posted online. Is this your first box creation? Like, what has been some of the challenges there?
Printer.
Well, besides the one that you just were putting on right now.
Too soon.
Yeah. This is our first box thing, and we have a lot of paper in it that requires folding.
Yes.
There's like, 30-something pieces of paper?
Yeah, 6,500 pieces of paper. Things we've had to fold. And as you guys saw, not all of our puzzles are paper. Some are objects, some are audio, but it's just, so that's just kind of part of the thing. We also, we had such a box snafu, and it was really hard. We've never really had to manufacture anything before. So we had like this beautiful, like custom made box that we designed with our artist. We were so excited about it. and they just never printed it.
Yeah.
So that was really like, when you have in your brain that it's going to look a certain way and then it ends up being slightly different. That it's like, it's so hard to make that mental jump of like, it's not going to be A, it's going to be B. So, so luckily we still have boxes. We have the boxes that we were going to put our boxes in.
Right.
So that's probably caused us more stress than anything. It's just the boxes.
Super frustrating. And just the time it takes to print everything out and to fold it and all that is.
How long did the proofreading take? Like, were you worried about printing out the 6500 error
quality
pages?
check?
We did a lot of play testing.
We did. We've tested it maybe 10
at
times.
least.
At least. And we make tweaks every time, and you find things, but at some point you just have to print it, and that was a few days ago. We need to ship them out in a few days. So you hit the good enough is good enough part. You know, people need to, we really thought about it. We're like, should we move it back a week? So we're thinking because these boxes weren't coming in, we're like, maybe we should move it to the 18th, and then we're just like, no, we just need to ship it. Had zero confidence that their pushed out deadline was going to be hit anyway. They said they'd get it to us by the 4th, and the 4th was coming around and we didn't have it. And they said, the 9th, and it's like, that's
maybe the 11th. And it's
then you're probably not going to be sleeping for another week, so you need to just get it out and not think about it anymore.
Sleep? Who's sleep?
It's so fun because we're used to the live show. We totally thought that this was going to be so much easier than the live show. I would not say it's been easier than the live show.
It's just tough because everybody's on their own, so we really have to think of everything. Hopefully, there's a lot of ways to help people out if they run into issues. There's a live support line which rings our phones if you run into difficulty, because I just hate the idea of somebody getting stuck with a technical issue or otherwise. Or you can email us or you can contact us over Facebook. So a lot of ways, if you run into difficulty, please don't be frustrated for long. Just
seriously, just call us. We are ready and available to fix it if anything is.
I can prove that. They were up at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to bed while you were testing it, obviously.
So Karen Tung says she did not know it was replayable as well. She's very excited to get her Drossel box.
Oh, good. Hey, all right. We're excited to send it.
Won't be disappointed.
So I mean, we talked about the non-linear aspect of it, and that there's 7 endings. If people wanted to play the entire 7 endings, I know we spent around an hour and a half too for just one ending.
The one ending.
The entire day to do this. If
you wanted to explore all different avenues and get all different endings, how long would that take?
There's a lot of overlap between them. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend that, because the endings are sort of permutations of having done other things.
There's ending A, ending B, ending AB, ending BC.
Oh my goodness.
Where the endings interact with each other.
So you help the particular character. If you only help that character, then you get your ending. But if you help that character in another ending, then that gets you another ending. So I think you'd probably want to play it maybe 2 or 3 times to get a sense for the endings. There's one that's sort of hidden that would be hard to find.
Oh yeah,
I doubt anybody will hit it, but
I hope so.
Challenge accepted.
No.
There's some par puzzlers out there.
But that's the thing. It's the opposite.
All you have to say is Easter egg.
No.
All you have to say is if you got to that ending, they'll get a pin, and then all these puzzlers will be out there.
The key word is pin.
Call me, because I want to know.
I can look in the logs. We'll see.
We'll see what it gets. So great.
Awesome.
And then,
all right, so we know that you also have a live show upgrade option, but how would that work? Will the players actually get to meet all the characters that's in the game through an online after party? How does that work?
Yeah. So we couldn't have every one of the automated interactions be live just because of the throughput. So what we did instead was at the end of each track or at certain points in the game, you get transferred to a live actor to respond to you. So they will give you similar stuff to what you would hear otherwise, but you're interacting with a live person. They can ask you questions and vice versa and things like that. So we thought it'd be a good way to bring in that live element without having to have 10 actors standing by taking calls to facilitate the entire game. So
Yeah, also, like, our system has a save state, right? So, like, when the live actors start going in there, then the automated system can't save the state and know where you were as much. So it was interesting to see how, like, the live interactions interacted with our actual technology.
So I'll be interested to see how satisfying people find that, because it's like a hybrid of automated versus live. I'm hoping people aren't disappointed by the proportion of liveness to automatedness, but
I think it's really
it'll
cool.
be fun.
Yeah.
Particularly because you're used to talking to an automated system, and then it transfers to live, and you're like, oh, it's a live person all of a sudden. Plus, we can call you for the live show.
Oh, we can't wait.
Oh,
Yeah,
Stuck
I
in
totally
something for a little
agree.
while, and we notice that you're stuck, we might give you a little ring and see how you're doing.
I am looking
that would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you? I'm curious. How do you guys monitor that? Like, if a lot of people are playing the game at the same time, because it seems like you can see that we pause the music. So when other people are playing at the same time, do you see everybody's
Like IP
status?
or
Yeah, we can see it. It's based on your caller ID, and that's paired to your login on the website. So we can see what your state is with all the different characters in the game. So we can see, like, oh, this one character is giving you the puzzle, but you haven't solved it yet, and you've been in this state for a certain amount of time. So that might trigger one of our characters calling you. The thing where I was checking whether it was paused was sort of a back-end thing that we don't have in the user interface for the hosts yet, but we might add it.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of like, how does he know that we're solving it so slowly?
Yeah.
You know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I can see as things get added to your playlist, and I thought something was not.
They knew we took a couple of
Coffee breaks.
and
Great.
stretched our legs and
Good. All right. Well, that's interesting.
We like to keep it flexible, because that's sort of the trade-off. Like, when you let people pause, you want to give them that flexibility, but also you don't want them to end up having to play for 5 hours.
It's still up in the air.
Yeah.
I wrote an article about this, my very first ever published article in a journal, and it was all about how important time limits are to escape rooms. And so the fact that, like, we built an escape room where it's like, essentially the challenge is how much can you solve over the course of 2 hours, and what ending is it going to track for you. But so far, like, every tester we've had pauses the timer.
Right. Well, you do
So
have
it
to
lasts
pause
forever.
it. You do have to pause it, because if you're on the phone and then the radio tell you
that's the
something, you can't listen to both at the
It's
same
true.
time.
It's
So that's
true.
why we
put
that
it in there. Yeah.
But the problem is people weren't restarting it, so we put in the thing where it automatically restarts. But then I think people just sort of get
Then
into
they
a
just
flow
pause
and
it.
they just pause
Yeah,
it.
so we've had people, like, add an extra half hour, 45 minutes, hour to their timer.
It's already a long
And 3
show.
hours into it. With a oh my
that was
god.
me. I was like, pause. Wait, I can't wait. Pause.
Yeah, but the good thing is your music, you're able to drag and kind of fast forward. So if you wanted to, like, catch up and not hear the music component, it's not like they're forcing you to have, like, hear that aspect to go to, the next, like, actual chat. And then another good thing is that you can mute music. So
lower the volume.
technically, you don't have to hear the music, but you can still let the timer run.
Right.
And not be, disturbing your gameplay. So
Right.
that's good.
Yeah, there are a couple ways
Sort of
around
overthinking.
it. Yeah.
But, yeah, we try to make it a flexible experience, just as long as people are aware of what they're doing when they're making particular choices. It's fine. So.
Right.
All right. I think we're
Okay.
at our.
Yeah, we're about to play our game with Green Door Labs. It's called
Eat or drink.
Take a Drink. All right. So,
I have to mention one thing. If you guys do want to join their live show, which sounds really cool, their show is already sold out. So make sure you snatch tickets for December 13th at either 2 or 7 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, cool. So these are the questions.
What game? Well, do you have a drink with you?
No, we need to get a drink. Okay. That doesn't count. All right. We'll be back.
So these drinks are based on the digital Drosselmeyer game that we've just played.
Well, not these drinks. These questions.
These questions. Look, I'm not drinking, but I sound like I'm drunk. And there was a lot of information, so I feel kind of bad. This is, like, pretty difficult. Like, I wouldn't really know.
Well, they're drinking non-alcoholic, so I think they'll be okay. I mean, Brian's drinking water. So. Oh, wow. Okay, so I don't feel so bad. I thought I was the only one drinking alcohol, but
oh, no way. Are you kidding me? It's been a long week.
It's been a long.
Can we take a look at that bottle of the limoncello?
Oh, sure. Here we go.
There you go.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
Oh wow.
She's doing shots.
Yeah.
It's like,
Wait, did you get that traveling or was that like local?
No, it was something that Brian's. It's funny. My family really doesn't drink at all, but Brian's family they are so good with cocktails, and so so Brian's aunt gave us this like lovely bottle of limoncello, and you drink it in these little tiny glasses. And actually, this is a shot glass I got from the USS Constitution Museum.
Yeah,
so,
we have little Demitas glasses.
we have little
but they're
Demitas.
sort of a pain to get
They're
out.
too far away. Yeah, so the USS Constitution glass is the one that.
You did mention that you guys created some drinks for the show too.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, sure. So yeah, geez, I wish that I had time. We're too busy printing to actually be able to make one for you guys today. But yeah, we have 2 drinks for the show. One is our White Russian Candy Cane. Yes, it is the chosen drink of Dr. Candelova Kane, who is the Chief Technology Officer of King Technologies from Rhett the Rat King and the Ratbot 3000. So yes, that's really tasty. Actually, that was super popular for the live show. And we've also given you guys, especially the people who do the party boxes, we have a recipe for mulled wine. Or my mother likes to say.
Very tasty.
It's very tasty.
Yeah, sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Where can they find this? In the because I didn't see it in the digital.
Is it in the box?
It was only in the box.
It's in the party box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Special
Yeah,
party box,
that's
which
special
comes
party
with
box.
drink recipes, other recipes,
Yeah,
character cards,
Drinks, snacks.
Ooh.
player
Yeah,
interactions,
multiplayer interactions.
and what else?
So,
And a
soundtrack.
Party.
Code,
Yeah.
soundtrack.
Yeah, that sounds like a really awesome night.
Cool, yeah.
All right, you guys ready for
Yeah.
question 1?
Well,
you didn't say your drink yet.
So
Now you're kind of.
I have a San Pellegrino Momente Clementine and Peach. However, I did put a little bit of Grey Goose vodka in here to mix it up a bit. So this is what I will drink if you guys get the questions right.
Ooh.
If you get them wrong, then you will be drinking the limoncello, which it's not such a bad thing. I mean, it looks delicious.
I know. It's cold and sweet, so yeah, I can't.
All right.
So you have 10 seconds from after we ask the questions, and Cece's going to start it off.
So
for you.
question 1: what is the zip code for King's Technology?
02142. Cambridge.
Close.
02143. 02144. Did I make it the Somerville?
You were close.
You had all the digits. Well, no.
No, she missed one digit, but
Yeah, well-
this
Is it 02144 Somerville?
02114.
There's
That's what
one
I heard on
more.
the phone.
Yeah, that's probably right. Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Brian,
Thanks for blurting.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you look confused.
No, I didn't know.
just
I
thought,
didn't know.
yeah,
That was from one of the maybe Brian's recordings or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't even know it's the real zip code.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
all the
Cambridge.
addresses are real.
Well, let's drink together because you guys actually could have
Fairly
picked the right
close.
answer. If Kellian gave her answer, Brian could have had his answer, but it's okay.
I didn't do it.
Colin, yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. We'll start it off.
Second
All right. So our second question for you is: what logo is on the United States warplane?
Oh,
Star.
yeah, it's like a star with a stripe.
Star. Yeah, star with a circle.
Any specific colors? That would be difficult.
So historically,
It is star with circle. Yes.
So historically, it would have been red and blue. But I think you guys probably got a black and white version, right?
Yeah, but on there was a description about the coloring, and it says white bar with white star on blue background with outline in red.
She's being brutal. She's being brutal with it.
Sniff it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, but yeah.
Yeah.
I would know.
All right, we got easy one. This one's easy. Okay,
Yeah.
ready?
Okay.
So, okay, what is Herbert's last name?
Yardley.
Yardley.
Oh, Yardley. Who was incidentally a code breaker from the 1920s? You should look him up.
Wow.
Oh yeah, he was the writer of the American Black Letter Handbook, I think is what it was called. Yeah, oh, great story. He was like he was a code breaker during the Sino-Russian War, I think is what they called it. And they also they had a lot of code breakers that worked cracking codes for rum runners. And so
all your names are semi Easter egg-ish?
Like there's some meaning behind them.
All the ones, so all the ones that are like Nutcracker names, like Red King, right?
Okay.
Like that's just a Nutcracker name, but all of them are connected to historical characters. So like Red King is based off of Charles King, who was a 1930s gangster in Boston.
Got it.
Ah,
All right, that
okay.
makes
A
sense.
lot of history folks don't know that's behind a lot of
There's
these
a
things.
ton of this stuff, yeah.
Wow.
It's like another day.
I know that's.
Exactly.
All right. So question 4 for you is how many vanilla, or how much vanilla do you have to add into the sugar cinnamon mug cake?
I know. I'm so bad.
Together.
I don't know. 1 teaspoon?
Take 2.
2 teaspoons?
What is your final answer between the two of
You
you?
could each give one.
Oh, you can
This
each
is so
give one.
hard.
Yeah, each give one.
Okay, he'll say 2, I'll say 1.
Ah, you're both wrong. It's half a teaspoon.
What is it?
Half a
Oh,
teaspoon.
you're right. Okay, that would have been a lot of vanilla for 1 mug.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd been a really sweet cake.
Very vanilla-y. Yeah. Okay. Good point. All right.
This
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bottoms up. Oh, well, not bottoms up. Sorry.
Sip.
Okay.
Does any of you speak German?
Yeah. Yeah, ein bisschen.
Darn it.
Oh man.
That was the question.
We can even say, do you speak Chinese? 'Cause
Oh well, I should have picked a harder word then.
Pig Latin?
What's that?
Pig Latin?
Pig Latin. I'm not very good at Pig Latin.
But how can you ask that in Pig Latin? It's a German word.
Or no, say it backwards. So whatever the German word is, just spell it backwards.
No,
All right.
I probably won't know it. I mean, college German, and that was my worst language.
Okay.
All right. So
You'll get this.
Go ahead, Cease.
All right. How do you say or spell? Actually, how do you spell the German word for ear?
It's Ohr. So O-H-R-E. So it would be E-R-H-O. E-R-H-O.
I only
Is that
have
your final
O-H-R.
answer?
I don't know where the E's from, but
She had,
You're right. I have an E. Cheers.
you definitely pronounced it right.
Yeah.
It was the spelling that got you.
all right.
We have a bonus question though.
Yeah. Are any of you really good at Morse code?
You are.
I know some of them, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so-
go ahead.
Bonus question for you is using Morse code, spell war.
I only know A, I think, which is dot dash.
Dot dash is correct.
And then R, I think, is that just a dash?
We should have brought our friend onto the shower. We only know one friend who knows Morse code like by heart, which is pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Coolest thing.
Yeah, I learned it and then I forgot it, and yeah.
So
Yeah.
if dot,
Morse code.
dash,
So you're
Yeah.
trying to learn Morse code.
Mhm.
It's true.
So
Dot.
W is dot dash dash. A is dot dash, which you got correct.
Mhm.
And then R is dot dash dot.
Oh.
So we're drinking together because you did get it correct. Cheers.
How many shots did she have already?
I don't know. No, she's still working on that one.
Okay, good. Okay.
You don't shoot limoncello, right?
No.
Well, thank you so much for playing Think or Drink with us. It's always great to learn more about you and your company and your games, and also to drink today.
Yeah. And once again, use that discount code for their amazing games for that 15% off until
Right.
December
Room Escapers.
1st.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then
And
also, the
one more
secret
time,
phrase
the secret phrase
is
to enter for winning a digital copy of Drosselmeyer is "Let me tune in."
let me tune in. Yeah.
And you can type that in anywhere into the videos when we have the edit version or this one.
Right.
And also remember to join us again next Friday, December 11th, at the same time, 4 p.m. Eastern, with the founder of Escape Crate, Chris. They're giving away their newest game called Escape on the High Seas. And and also, we'll announce our special announcement. We're gonna have a special announcement for because it's the 30th show for next time.
There's a
And
prize involved.
Yeah.
So, yeah, tune in for that.
Thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Kellian and Brian, for joining us. And if you love our show, please let your friends know about us. And remember to like and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate your support, and see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Left for me to choose, 2 hits left for me to use, 1 hit left for me to move. Time is running out, gotta figure something out. 3 hits left for me to choose, 2 hits left for me to use, 1 hit left for me to move. Time is running out, gotta figure something out.